It's good to be with you today. Look, we do have a lot of challenges, of course, and it is a difficult time to be in government. It's a difficult time to be in business. It's a difficult time to be an American. We can fix that. We can do our own little part here. A lot of challenges. Education certainly comes to the top of the list. And we got to be careful about our educational system because we got a good one. And we like to thump our chest saying we're number one. But we got to be careful because this impacts the business community and the future of our state. You see, if we delude ourselves into believing we've arrived because we're number one for 4 years in a row, the kids who are dropping out of some of these systems at a rate of 50% are going to be locked into a lifetime of crime and poverty in this state. So while we're thumping our chest, we ought to remind ourselves we haven't arrived yet. Our remediation rates at our community colleges in this state is abysmal. Kids going there, and it's upwards of 60% in some instances, need remedial training in reading and mathematics. So while we're thumping our chest about our number one educational system, we ought to remind ourselves that we may not have arrived yet. Enough said about education for now. It's good we haven't arrived. Transportation, I think the Chamber has a little interest in transportation funding. I have to tell you, transportation is important. I need some transportation improvements in my neck of the woods. I have the largest naval aviation test, research, and development center in the world, the center of NAVAIR, at Pax River in my district. And there's a bridge that connects the two counties in southern Maryland, Governor Thomas Johnson Bridge. Very important. We have great needs. But we can't kill the economy at the same time. We have to keep in mind the context of the economy. And so we want to raise this gas tax, and you guys have been lobbying very hard to raise the gas tax, but it's in the context of all the other taxes that Senator Pipkin talked about. So if we kill the economy, are we going to have the revenues that we need? We ought to be careful. We might not arrive. We got this little problem of federal retrenchment. Federal government is going to retrench its spending. It has to. The federal debt is unsustainable. It's gone up $6 trillion over the last 3 years, and I listened with some amazement at Congressman Van Hollen speaking. We could kill this country economically if we don't slow down the rate of growth in our debt. It's too high. We can't sustain it. And so when the federal government retrenches, what has been our blessing in this state may be a very big burden. The federal presence has made us prosperous, has buffered us from the economic downturn nationally, but it's also something that the rating agencies look at this state and say, you know, you have an overdependence on the federal presence. Now, I don't think they're going to downgrade, and I'm not going to suggest that. But what I will tell you is when defense and other agencies start scaling back, federal contracts are going to be hurt, and we better be prepared for that. And this business community, Eris, better be ready to take care of that when it happens. I don't think we're diversifying our economy enough, and we're over-relying on the federal presence. So I think we have a problem with regulatory overreach in the state. I continue to get complaints, and we're not opposed to regulation. We get that all the time. We kind of like to get characterized as Republicans and how they are. It's not that. It's about not being kind of the task regulator that comes in and hurts you instead of trying to help you stay within the guidelines. We need to be helping business, not putting them out of business. And we got a lot of empty storefronts in my district and across the state that are hurting. So regulatory overreach is something that we need to fix. Lastly, I want to speak about creating jobs in this state. We need to create some jobs, and that's important. Now, government can't create jobs, and I agree with that statement, but government can create the environment that allows for job creation to occur. Give you an example. There's a company, anybody here from Dominion today? Dominion Energy, probably somewhere. There you go. Company wants to invest $2 billion in my district. $2 billion, maybe, to build a liquefaction plant, to take gas in the Marcellus deposit, liquefy it, put it on a ship, and send it overseas and help improve our balance of trade that's been negative for way, way too long. What are we doing in this state to foster that? Thousands of jobs could be created now. And we ought to be cheering it on. We're not. We're saying, we're going to stop you. Not necessarily stopping that project, but we don't want these jobs from Marcellus and drilling. We can regulate it. It's appropriate to regulate it. We're stopping it. Just like we're stopping the growth in the building industry and the construction industry and so many other things. We need to get about having jobs stay in the state and be created in the state. We're not doing it. Energy is important. We shouldn't take the leap, though, that falsely subsidizes energy sources that can't stand on their own windmill pedestal, if you will, especially if they're proposed to benefit certain people, which leads me into my last subject, which is transparency in government. We need a little more transparency in this government. We need to see who's doing what, who's benefiting from what, and how decisions are actually made. So having said that, I think if we do all those things and talk about some of those things and come to grips with some of those things, we can improve this state. We can ratchet up on our assets. We got a lot of good things going for us, but let's not kill the goose that's been laying the golden egg for way too long. Thank you very much.